Welcome back to The Source. I'm Mike Balsam. After a slow start due to COVID-19, you might be surprised to find out that Fort Erie Race Track actually ended up having a banner season for 2020. Joining us now, Fort Erie Race Track's Manager of Marketing and Public Relations, Antonietta Culic. Welcome to the program. And Antonietta, my first question to you is, I was surprised to hear this. Were you surprised?
It's racing is an interesting industry because we have the on-track fans and local wagering, but we also have the simulcast market. So everyone who's wagering from home, people, not so much in Ontario because a lot of them are closed, but in the States, people who are wagering from off-track betting locations, there's not a whole lot going on right now, not a whole lot that they can do. In Ontario, we don't have a lot of casinos open. So it's not overly surprising that we did well because people were looking for some sort of gaming and some sort of entertainment. So it's good for the racing because it kind of, COVID allowed people to sort of realize that, oh, horse racing is still out there. The sporting fans who didn't have much else to look towards, we were able to focus on horse racing for a little while.
Looking at the numbers though, 40.2 million this year, and that smashed 2019's value of, what was it, 29.9 million. That's a huge increase, and you had one fewer racing day this year as well.
Yeah, we had to cancel a day right at the start of the season just because of COVID. That's when there was still some uncertainty. But horse racing, we were really lucky that we were able to operate this year. A lot of people struggled for a lot longer than we did. A lot of industries, some are still struggling. So the fact that we were able to get up and running was really important for us, and we were really lucky that we were able to do so. But there is, a few different reasons why we think that the numbers were better than last year. Largely, like we said, not a whole lot else going on. So early on, when there weren't any sports happening, a lot of, especially in the States, when they can wager on sports, well, people couldn't do that. So horse racing was a little more forefront, and yeah, it was good for us.
It's great to set that record, and I'm sure everyone's smiling about that record, but we also have to consider the economic impact that not having fans at the racetrack really brought to the community of Fort Erie and Niagara as a whole.
We hope so, right? Hopefully everything with COVID is on the way out and we'll be able to bring them back. And like I said, we were lucky that we were able to operate, but without having fans here, there's probably about 100 people who weren't able to come back as employees this season, right? That's a big deal. That's a lot of people, especially for a small town like Fort Erie. So a lot of our mutual tellers, our food and beverage staff, we have some, housekeeping staff that weren't able to come back. And that really was the unfortunate side of things. When we were able to open up to fans, those 100 people, we were able to bring back a food and beverage person and a mutual teller. But I mean, just a couple people from, out of the 100 that would normally be employed, it isn't much. I also know a lot of our local restaurants and stores do benefit on race days. A lot of them have tons of people who go to the, bars and restaurants afterwards. So those were, other aspects of the community that were losing out from us not having fans as well.
You had about 500 what you called horse people in your press release. Is that on average for a regular year about that same number?
So when COVID hit, we had to limit who was able to access our backstretch just to essential personnel only. So the people required to be there for the safety and welfare of the horses. So those are the owner, or not even the owners, those are the trainers, the hot walkers, the grooms, the exercise riders. Going out and training in the morning and getting exercise is essential for the care of horses. You can't just leave them in the barn all day. They need to get exercise. They need to get out and stretch their legs. So we had to put together a list of just essential people who were required to come into our backstretch and, continue the operations and the care of the horses. And that was about 500 people. Normally we would have more than that, for sure. But again, because of COVID and wanting to limit the number of people that had access, limit the number of people that were in our kind of Fort Erie community bubble, it was limited to essential personnel only.
Mighty Heart, mightiest again. He's 2/3 of the way to the Canadian Triple Crown, Mighty Heart.
Very successful Prince of Wales Stakes, Mighty Heart pulling out the victory. Are you pulling for Mighty Heart for the Triple Crown win?
You have to, right? We haven't had a Triple Crown winner since 2003 when Wando won. So, having a horse, of course, any horse that wins the Prince of Wales, if they go on to the Breeder Stakes, I always root for them because, they run one here, you want them to go on. But now that he has a chance of the Canadian Triple Crown and he only has one eye, I mean, you got to cheer for him, right?
What a great story. Thanks, Antonietta, for joining us today. We appreciate your time.